Been a tiny bit since we talked Warhammer Fluff in a short, but what happened to the original High Lords? You know, the guys who were in charge before Guilliman came back. Well, you have to go to the Watcher of the Throne series to find out what happened to them. Because everything else just says Guilliman fired them and kicked them out. First, why were they fired? Well, by the time of the 13th Black Crusade, the High Lords of Terra had fallen into a belief called the static tendency. Dumbing it way down, basically, don't change anything, everything the Emperor has put in place is perfect, regardless of changing circumstances. Basically an out-and-out critique of old fuck politicians not getting with the times. Yeah, the reason why a lot of systems didn't see an increase in their supply lines was because of the static tendency. And when Roboute Guilliman came back and saw how they were doing things, even when the galaxy was split in literal half, yeah, they were going to get the can. Now, Guilliman didn't order their executions. He didn't want his takeover to be bloody. But instead of just quietly taking the L and going off to hide in their own mansions, these motherfuckers got a great idea in their head. Now get this, these guys were going to launch a rebellion to take over the Imperial government and reinstitute their rule, gathering all the allies they could, including the Minotaurs chapter. Pretty much confirming that the Minotaurs chapter is at the beck and call of the politicians of Terra. Okay, but what would they do with Roboute Guilliman if their plan succeeded? Well, they were gonna host a show trial for him. Yes, putting a demigod of war on trial. Putting someone who canonically survived the explosion of his own bridge and then proceeded to walk around his ship without a helmet on in the vacuum of space, they were going to put that man on trial. But that didn't end up happening, as Guilliman is still around. So what happened? Well, the Custodes, the Assassins, and the Imperial Fists happened. The Custodes blew the conspiracy wide open, and the Assassins pretty much killed all of the Static Tendency's leadership. And the Custodes, along with the Imperial Fists, forced the Minotaur chapter to stand down. Or in other words, the Captain General of the Custodes came out and told the Minotaur's chapter master to fuck off. Now, is the Static Tendency and its beliefs still around? Kinda. There are those who still quietly support it, but they're few and far between, and the Custodes are very good at rooting them out. And the current Imperial administration really wants to distance themselves from those failures. Because you gotta remember, a lot of the consequences of modern 40k are because of the Static Tendency. And reading the Dawn of Fire novels along with other books within Warhammer about the modern times, yeah, you are still seeing that belief system fuck with the Imperium. Don't you just love old fucks that don't get with the times?